Good afternoon, YouTubers. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. I'm sitting here smoking on my country gent. Got some haunted bookshop in it. Just because we had a pretty good storm come through last night with some high winds. Half my trees laying out in the street out there. A bunch of leaves and small branches and stuff like that. But you have to put up with my neighbor's kids over there killing each other. It goes on all day, every day. Anyway, hope you're having a good start to your weekend. It's Friday. It's time for Top 5 Friday. Last week we went with comedians. Had some pretty good responses to that one. This week I'm going to go back to the movies. And I'm going to do the top 5 films with John Cazale as an actor. If you don't remember John Cazale, you will. He was a great character actor. A favorite of Francis Ford Coppola and some other really good directors, filmmakers. Anyway, his first number one on this list, actually number 1 and 2, I'll tie them together, is The Godfather 1 and 2, where he played Fredo Corleone. The poor son that couldn't get no respect, couldn't do anything right, ended up dead. Michael, of course, ordered his death, felt severe guilt and remorse over that for the rest of his life. Caused all kind of problems. Fredo was a womanizer, got into trouble in Vegas, got on his pop's bad side. You remember. Fredo Corleone, Godfather 1 and 2. He also appeared in number 3. That was made about 17 years, I think, after he died. So they used archival footage from the first 2 movies. So that's number 1 and 2, featuring John Cazale. Godfather 1 and 2. Number 3, one of my favorite movies ever. Very few people, not that many people, have seen this movie. For some strange reason, I don't know. Anyway, it was 1974, I believe. Yeah. The Conversation, starring Gene Hackman, John Cazale, quite a few other folks. Robert Duvall was in it, Cindy Williams, Laverne and Shirley, a few other people. Anyway, Cazale played a guy named Stan. He was the partner of Gene Hackman's character. They were shoot, I forgot, my brain stopped working here for a second. Give me a second. It's funny how you can remember every word in the English language except the one you're trying to think of. Anyway, they were They were spies, basically, because I can't think of the word. Bugging people, listening in on people's conversations, stuff like that. That's going to bug me to no end. Anyway, if you haven't seen The Conversation and you want to see a good movie, go check that one out. They listen in on this conversation and have to figure out how to record a conversation that takes place in the middle of a crowded square in San Francisco, and got all kind of technical problems and figuring out how to do that, and they finally get it all put together. Gene Hackman's character gets freaked out by what he hears, and he kind of flips out because he's afraid he's been hired to give someone a tape of this conversation that's going to use it for ill meaning. He thinks somebody's going to get killed over it. And it's a great character study about how this guy kind of goes nuts, dealing with the ramifications of what he's taking part in. Anyway, that's a good one. Go check it out. The Conversation. Number 4. This is a good movie, but for some reason it's not one of my favorites. Should be, because it's a good movie. Dog Day Afternoon. Al Pacino and John Cazale. Cazale plays a guy named Salvatore Naturale, who was a small-time criminal in New York City. I believe it was New York. Yeah. It was based on a true story, mostly true story. The story was true. The movie took a few liberties here and there, but basically it's a true story. And Cazale's character's Sal. Ends up meeting a harsh completion. But him and Pacino really knock it out of the park in this movie. It's a great story, very well acted. I can't remember who directed that one. Somebody big. Anyway, Dog Day Afternoon, I think that was 75, I believe. Number 5 on this list. 3 of these movies make my top 10 movies of all time list usually when I put it together. At least the top 20. This is one of them. 1976. The Deer Hunter. Cazale plays another guy named Stanley Stosh, who's kind of like they're buddies, but they're nemesis with De Niro in this movie. This movie has a great cast in it. John Cazale, Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep, a couple of other people whose names slip away. I'm pretty sure Walken won an Academy Award in this movie. There's a scene in this movie. There's several scenes in this movie dealing with Russian roulette, but there's one where Robert De Niro's character, after having come back from Vietnam and suffered through all the crap that he suffered, gets into kind of a pissing match with John Cazale's character and challenges him to a game of Russian roulette. When they were filming the movie, De Niro asked Cazale if they could include a live bullet in the pistol that they were playing with, and he agreed to it to add to the tension of the scene and make it more real. Although, during the filming, he constantly was checking to make sure that bullet wasn't the next one in the chamber. It was in the gun, but of course they weren't going to let it actually kill somebody. But it added quite a bit to the tension of that scene. So there you go, Godfather 1 and 2, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. Top 5 John Cazale films. Something interesting about that. Those were the only John Cazale films. Feature-length films. He appeared in a short film one time. And then in The Godfather Part 3, they used archival footage of him, so that one doesn't really, you could throw it in because it fits the category as well. But all 5 of the movies that he appeared in were nominated for Best Picture. 3 of them won. There's not another actor that can claim something like that. John Cazale grew up in New York. He grew up with, he learned his trade with Pacino and Meryl Streep in the theater in Brooklyn, New York. And went on to be in those films, made a big name for himself. Was dating Meryl Streep for a couple of years before his death. He died from lung cancer in 1976. They filmed the Deer Hunter scenes with him. There were quite a few scenes with him. They filmed all those scenes first. And then they filmed the rest of the movie. And he died not long after filming his scenes, so he never got to see the movie. But he inspired a lot of actors. A lot. There was a thing put together for him, kind of a tribute thing. I can't remember what it was called. And a lot of great actors stood up and said nice things about him. Of course, De Niro, Pacino, Meryl Streep, Steve Buscemi, Gene Hackman, a lot of them. He was well loved and well thought of. Probably didn't get the recognition he deserved for the short time that he was working. He only acted, in feature films, he only acted for 4 years, from the first Godfather film to the Deer Hunter film. And he probably would have gone on to be one of the most sought after and highly respected, probably award-winning eventually, character actors. Definitely of the 70s, but he probably would have worked through the 80s and into the 90s like the rest of those guys. Anyway, there you have it. Not much to add to this list because there aren't any more films from him. But Hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't seen those movies, which is highly unlikely, go check them out, especially The Conversation, Deer Hunter. Everybody's seen The Godfather. I'm going to go smoke the rest of this pipe. Hopefully the wind will stay away. It was blowing like 40, 50 miles an hour last night, man. It was something. Other than that, have a good weekend above all the noise over here. Typically quieter inside my house with 2 kids than it is outside. Go figure. Take care. I'll see you soon.